It is some of the most breathtaking and rugged country in Arkansas, and it happens to be just west of Little Rock, Rattlesnake Ridge Natural Area. Rattlesnake Ridge is located west of Pinnacle Mountain State Park off Highway 10, 1.2 miles down Barrett Road. Making the hike with us to the top of the ridge is Mitchell Allen with the Nature Conservancy and Theo Witzel with the Arkansas Natural Heritage Commission. Well, Theo, my goodness, this is an amazing place. You know, I've been to a lot of places in Arkansas, but this is going to be right there at the top. Tell us a little bit of the history about this and how it eventually got to be, you know, a natural area, and rightfully so.
Sure. So this is a pretty unusual place. It's it's out of place where it is in the world. It's a really dry, rocky, what we call a barrens. It's a lot of rock outcrops and really dry conditions with scrubby, old, stunted trees and shrubs. And grassland, there's a real strong grassland component here, dry prairie and glade habitat. So we have strong western influence to this ecological community here. You find things like prickly pear cactus and yucca and things that we associate really with the West. And it's not just plants, but you find some animals that also have this western sort of affinity. You got things like Western Diamondback rattlesnake. This is about the easternmost point in North America where that species occurs. It's our largest rattlesnake, and it's a rare species in Arkansas. We also find with it things like scorpions, the giant red-headed centipede, which gets almost a foot long, big desert centipede, and tarantulas are here. A lot of these western elements that are out of place in the east, and they're really ancient holdovers from drier climatic periods where that western flora and fauna moved to the east, and then it got stranded here really in these sort of dry, rocky habitats where it still persists today.
Now, so far, I mean, we haven't seen any, rattlesnakes or tarantulas, but then we're taping this in December, so.
Right. Yeah, no accident there. Yeah, if we were to go earlier in the year on up into the really rugged terrain, it wouldn't take us long to find some of these big centipedes or scorpions and things like that. Rattlesnakes are a little more secretive, but they are here.
Rattlesnake Ridge Natural Area covers 373 acres and is 920 feet above sea level. The top of the ridge is about 13 acres of barren rock. Low-impact recreational uses are planned by the Nature Conservancy, who's a partner and acquired the land.
So right now, as you see, it's pretty rugged, pretty steep. So right now there's a lot of opportunity for kind of hiking and just getting up and seeing really good views. There's a little bit of rock climbing, kind of a historic climbing area, and some stuff down closer to the parking area that's a little easier. And in the future, really, we'll just be developing a trail system, kind of a multi-use trail system that mountain bikers and hikers can use. And yeah, developing a little bit more of the rock climbing in cooperation with some of our partners.
Now, the critical factor is, though, and we were talking about this earlier, is to make sure that it's not really loved to death. And that's, I guess there's a fine criteria there, especially with Pinnacle there behind us. And as years go by, you get more and more people, and that's always a problem. Of course, you want people to come to a place like this, but then, what do you advise people, that come here to enjoy this?
Yeah, so I would just say, definitely stick to the trails that are established, or the roads that are established on the preserve. We definitely want people to come out and check it out. We just want them to, pack out any trash that they pack in. stick to the trails and try to love it in a way that is sustainable, you know, and use it but don't abuse it, basically, you know.
And that's basically the rule to follow for all of our scenic and natural areas in the natural state. Use it, but don't abuse it.
Standing at that Greyhound Bus Station when my baby got on board.
In the 1930s, taking a bus was the preferred mode of travel for the average person. And this Greyhound Bus Depot in Blytheville, built in 1937, is the only one of its kind left in the country. Back when this building was constructed in 1937, you could say it was actually ahead of its time by its looks.
Yes, it was way ahead of its time. As a matter of fact, it was one of the few buildings between Memphis and St. Louis that offered air conditioning inside.
Now, what was the outside paneling that made it so different? What was that material?
That material is called Vitrolux, and it's a plastic-coated material that's been painted.
Typical day here of when the buses were rolling through. Who were the people that came through here?
A lot of the times the people that came through here were people in the Air Force coming into the place to go to the Air Force base, and some of them leaving here going somewhere else. We also had, during my era, the Vietnam era, a lot of guys left from here going to Memphis to the center down there before they went into the service.
What do you remember when you were in school and coming here?
When I was in school, they had pinball machines over in one corner here, and we'd come over at lunch and eat at the snack bar here, and then some days we would make it back to school, some days we wouldn't. It would just depend on how good the pinball machine was running.
So this is the only building of its kind called an island that is left in the United States?
Yeah, this is the only Greyhound station that is an island structure like this, a standalone structure that still exists.
Greyhound history itself is, looking at some of these placards here, it's quite the way it all began. Tell us a little bit about that.
Greyhound started as it was a motor coach group of guys. They decided that they wanted to be ahead of the time as far as transportation and people transportation. So they started this idea about the Greyhound bus, and the Greyhound came along because they wanted it to be more like a race where they were going to get people there faster. So they used a racing dog, a Greyhound.
It really, for Blytheville, I mean, this is a treasure to have something like this.
It really is. It's a major treasure for us. We love it here in Blytheville, and it's always been a major. We like the idea that back in the day when they built this, that it was really a big attraction then, even because most people had never seen anything like it. We didn't have indoor air conditioners in the places, so people would come here just to see the indoor air conditioning, and we still love it today as a unique opportunity for people.
And companies or people can rent out this space right here?
We rent the front space out, very reasonable for different type of things. We've had gender reveal parties. The youngsters are into those gender reveal things now. We've had wedding receptions. We've had prom parties. So it's used. It gets used quite a bit.
Now the road out here was actually a main artery back in the day.
It was Highway 61, and it was what we call the Blues Highway. It was the main artery between New Orleans and Chicago. And it's called the Blues Highway because most of the blues men rode the bus through here and stopped here. A lot of them would stop here, get out, and play their guitar on the side of the road and get people to throw a little money in their hats.
It's great. I love it.
Well, we love it too. There's quite a few of us here in town that were excited when we decided to purchase the building from a private owner and start doing the renovation. Yeah. We really got excited about it because not only does it have memories for us, it has memories for a lot of people. You know, we still have, you've looked around, you've seen a lot of the paraphernalia that we have, and we still have retired bus drivers that drop in with me and they'll sit around, have a cup of coffee and share their stories about what it was like stopping in Blytheville and driving the bus and the people that they got to meet and see.
Bus service ended at this depot in 2000, but people will still show up every now and then to wait on a bus.
Yeah, there's been a few times that people have just sat outside and waited and then eventually would come in and say, hey, the bus is late. How late is it going to be? And, so, you know, back in 2000, all the bus traffic moved out to the interstate, close to the interstate, so they could be more of an express type bus.
If you do come to visit this bus depot, don't forget to check out the phone booth. So, in this original phone booth, you can come in and sit down, like back in the day, and hear a little bit of the history from the Greyhound operator.
Blytheville operator, how are you doing today? To listen to a story about our fine bus station, dial 1. If you have a story to share, dial 2. Remember, you can dial 0 at any time to get back to here.
They're the largest waterfowl in North America, Trumpeter Swans, weighing an average 30 to 40 pounds with a wingspan of up to 8 feet. Now, normally they live in Wyoming, the Midwest, and even in Alaska. But these guys, since 1992, have been wintering in Heber Springs, here on Magnus Lake. It's believed the original several trumpeter swans that wound up on Magnus Lake in the early 90s were knocked off course by a storm. And since then, more and more have been migrating here, usually arriving on the first full moon in November and then leaving on the first full moon in February. Folks come from all over the state to look at the swans, and with many it's turned into an annual swan tradition, such as with Jerry and Nancy Woodall of Cave City.
It was probably about 9 years ago. I don't know why we even came here, but the first year they came, they said it was an accident, and we thought they were so neat. We just kept coming. We usually come every year and bring some kids or grandkids and feed them and take their pictures, and they're just really pretty birds.
I guess the first time, like many people, when they see them for the very first time, they're really surprised how big they are.
Yes, they are big, and I read somewhere that they're supposed to weigh about 40 pounds. That's a big bird.
Yeah, that's a big bird. And the sound that they make.
Yes.
It's always fascinated me.
Yeah, the honking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really sound like trumpets.
They do. They really do sound like trumpets. I guess that's where they got their name.
Yeah. Seeing these magnificent birds for the very first time is always a special moment. Pat Lewis here couldn't stop taking pictures. Your first time here seeing the Trumpeter Swans. My goodness, what do you think?
Oh, they're lovely. The curves on the neck and the size of the birds, just amazing.
Yeah, it is always impressive when you see them for the first time and you realize how big they are.
Mm-hmm. So impressive when they spread their wings a bit.
Yeah. Well, you've got the right camera, the right lens to take pictures.
Well, I'm learning how to work it, so that was the whole...
just point and shoot.
Point and shoot.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. Your best chances of seeing the Trumpeter Swans would be mid-afternoon to dusk when they return to Magnus Lake after feeding during the day. And if you must feed them, use shelled corn only, because with bread they may choke on it. Also, leave dogs in your vehicle. If the swans become familiar with dogs, it leaves them vulnerable to coyote attacks. Trumpeter swans were hunted to near extinction during the early 1900s when there were less than 100. They were saved by individuals and groups that worked together to get the Migratory Bird Treaty Act signed into law in 1918. And now there's more than 100 of them that come to winter on this lake alone. In early America, there used to be a blacksmith shop in just about every town. Well, here in Mountain View, the art of blacksmithing is kept alive in what is known as America's Blacksmith Shop, where you too can try your hammer hand at it. Since the 1970s, Stone County Ironworks in Mountain View has been producing works of art with metal which the master blacksmiths here take a lot of pride in hammering out.
I moved here from California and never thought I'd really be doing this sort of thing. I've done a lot of iron in the past. It fit. I really enjoy it. It's more art than it is actually work. I work for these guys now for about 8 years, and it's been like going to school every day. I always get to do something new, amazing stuff. We've done just awesome furniture to even ornate pieces, so it's cool work.
Now, I didn't know when we got here that I'd be thrown an apron and a hammer and be told to start hammering. But after a little instruction, I figured, hey, why not?
It doesn't matter. It still doesn't.
Not as easy as it looks.
Well, it does take a while.
After a few minutes, I quickly came to this conclusion.
You have to know how to swing a hammer pretty well. It's hot. It's very hard work if, you know, you sleep good at night. So, but I enjoy it. I like it better than anything else I've ever done.
My first couple of weeks, I really dreaded it because I was sore. But I moved off into building custom pieces and stuff, and that's what I like to do, because you ain't doing the same thing over. You got different pieces each time you build a piece. It's something different. It ain't something just over and over. And being able to do something that's so old is interesting to do, and I've been doing it for so long. That's about all I want to do. And I do it away from here. I do it here. So I really enjoy finishing a piece and it being a finished product, nice, and it goes out across the world and hangs in whoever's house. You know, I don't know. I really enjoy. There's a lot of struggles, you know, in a lot of it, but once you get through your struggles and get to the end of that piece, then you feel good about it.
But in my case, well, I said I think I better keep my day job.
We've been blacksmithing here since 1979, and that's what we do. It's at the core of what we do every day. So we choose to use old equipment and old tools and old methods to build beautiful pieces of furniture and lighting and home decor and custom. And it just adds to the story of our product that we make it in the same way that it would have been made probably 100 years ago.
And there's a definite look to it, and it's not like a cookie cutter thing. It's all, each piece is individual because it's handmade.
It is. That's right. Yeah. Every leaf, every branch, every element of the piece is designed to be handmade and look that way. We don't try to hide from it. We build it into our story.
Well, you've got some good blacksmiths here that really love what they're doing.
They're talented. I tell you what, the guys that we have here are some of the most talented individuals that I know. The skill that they apply to their craft is just, it's really amazing. I've seen them build some things that are breathtaking.
Yes, breathtaking indeed, as in this metal tree creation, taking the art of blacksmithing to an entirely new level. 325 of these futuristic trees will be on display in downtown Houston, beginning with the 2019 holiday season. So next time you happen to be in Mountain View, check out Stone County Ironworks, America's Blacksmith Shop. And to view this episode again or any one of our others, visit our website at aetn.org/exploringarkansas. And don't forget to like us on our Facebook fan page. And we'll see you again the next time for another exciting adventure on Exploring Arkansas.